This is the Brew World Order Podcast.
Welcome to the Brew World Order Podcast. My name is Mike Curtin. If you haven't subscribed yet, what's the matter with you? This is episode number 59. In this episode, I sit down with Christian Emsik, co-owner of Laguna Beach Beer Company in Laguna Beach, California. Christian tells me how he defines success, what the future holds for Laguna Beach Beer Company, and he tells us a story of how his overly packed van wound up getting stuck while up on a hill. Can't tell you the whole thing, you'll just have to listen to the podcast to find out that story. But I have a similar story about my old truck, only I was too young to realize you probably shouldn't take your SUV with 200,000 miles off-roading. Rest in peace to my transmission, and also rest in peace to my sweet Tippy. Yes, Tippy. That was the nickname of my good old Bronco 2. May she rest in peace. And may you enjoy the newest episode of the podcast. Sit back, relax, and crack open a cold one. I miss you, Tippy. Hey guys, I'm Mike Curtin. This is the Brew World Order Podcast, and today I'm with Christian Emsik of Laguna Beach Beer Company in Laguna Beach, California. Christian Emsik was born and raised in Orange County, California. While growing up on the West Coast, he found a true passion for writing. When it was time to choose a college, he headed to Fordham University in the Bronx in hopes of becoming a journalist. In 2007, he started a journalism program right around the time when the Great Recession hit. Christian lost his job shortly after and started to panic, not really knowing what the next step would be in his future. While sipping on some natty ices one night, he decided that he was going to take a stab at law school. After graduating law school, he visited his best friend in San Diego. They grabbed a beer together at the Homebrew Mart. And if you don't know what the Homebrew Mart is, well, I'll tell you. It's a homebrew shop owned by Ballast Point where you can not only try Ballast Point beers, but you can also pick up homebrew products and talk to professionals on how to get the best out of your homebrew. This is where Christian tried sculpin for the first time, and it was like an awakening to his palate. It was also the start of his craft beer journey. He practiced law for 5 years, and during that time, Christian realized how unhappy he was in that profession. While being a lawyer, his passion for craft beer was slowly growing. A huge turning point for Christian was when he was working for a healthcare company. They started with 15 attorneys, and little by little, they started to let people go until he was the only one left. Shortly after that, they let him go as well. At that moment, he decided it was time to take the leap into the craft beer world. He reached out to the owners of Laguna Beach Beer Company, Brent Rennard and Mike Lombardo, who hired Christian immediately. From that point on, he was helping with the brewing, cooking, doing deliveries, and bartending. He knew right away this was his true passion, and soon thereafter became the co-owner of Laguna Beach Beer Company in Laguna Beach, California. And Christian is here with me today. Christian, how's it going, man?
It's going great, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the brewery that you're a part of now, Laguna Beach Beer Company, when you jumped in, it was already established, but what do you think was the biggest challenge for you becoming a brewery owner?
The biggest challenge, wow. You know, a couple of really good things happened kind of early on for us. What really kind of set us off on this path that we're on now is when we brought on our new head brewer. Well, he's not new now. He was new then.
Right.
But we brought on a brewer who came from Beechwood up in Long Beach, which is, you know, ask any Southern California IPA drinker, and that's probably in their top 5, you know. So
okay.
Chris came on with us early 2020 or late 2019 maybe. And that just turned the whole program around. The beer was just phenomenal all of a sudden. We had a new location opening up then, and we've got 2 more locations under construction now. So the last 2 years have been wild.
What do you think is one of the hardest adjustments for you when actually becoming an owner?
Well, I'm sure you've heard it from all the other owners you've talked to, is that it comes home with you at the end of the day. You never can turn off this business because at the end of the day, the buck stops with you. So, you know, we're rapidly growing our brewery. We are hiring new staff all the time. All this too in the context of a pandemic. So we're dealing with changing landscapes every day.
Right.
Yeah, it's just that residual stress. Even when things are going great, there's always more to be doing. And you're never fully finished with any project because there's always something new.
Right, yeah.
So that was kind of something that I grew into. I mean, I love it. It's such a fun thrill, but yeah, it weighs on your shoulders a bit.
Of course. And are you talking about bringing it home? how do you go about balancing your family and business at the same time?
It's fun and it's challenging. My wife, she works full-time as a medical social worker. We also have a little 15-month-old baby girl, so there's a lot of demands on time and resources. So
Right.
Family is extremely important to me, and I've, from the beginning, wanted to be a really involved dad to my girl. So it's using your time in the most efficient way possible. I don't have a lot of free time, but I find ways to make family, business, friends, and life all work together. But I'm not the most organized person, so it's a little chaotic sometimes.
I feel you. I feel you on that.
Yeah. A lot of balls in the air. A lot of juggling.
Right, a lot of juggling. So, and you talked about before about COVID being thrown into the whole mix. What did that look like for you and your company when that actually happened and all the shutdowns came into place? What did you guys have to do to adjust?
That was a pretty, for every brewery, I'm sure, but it was intense. We, prior to that, we probably did 90% of our sales through our tasting rooms with a very, very small wholesale component to our business.
Right.
All of a sudden, we can't sell beer through our tasting room, so we really had to pivot. We switched to a ton of canning. We were canning all the time and sending a lot more beer out into market. We got to expand our tasting room footprints, which is really cool. So we took over the parking lots at all of our spots and have built really cool outdoor patios.
Right.
That was when we could open back up, of course. Those early days were, to be frank, kind of awful. We had to furlough a lot of staff who, they're like family to us here. Like, we love all of our employees. A lot of them have been here for years, and all of a sudden, they're out of work. So,
right, yeah.
Again, that kind of taking it home, that was tough. Those were good friends of mine, who no longer could provide. So, that was tough. But once we could open up again, it's been pretty great. We've had expanded footprints, selling a lot of beer. People are thirsty.
Yeah. As am I.
Yeah.
So, let's hope that this new variant doesn't cause that to happen again with all this happening. So, fingers crossed there.
Yeah.
What do you think's been one of the biggest lessons you've learned so far since becoming an owner?
That's a good question. I think the value of staff is a huge one.
Right.
We have some really amazing staff who work here, and making sure that they feel seen, heard, valuable, well treated, well paid, because they're truly the ones who make this business run. As much as we might like to think we do, it's actually them. So,
right.
Making sure and keeping in touch with those guys has been really important to me. We talk multiple times a day with all of our GMs, the brewers. They are the backbone. So keeping them stoked and happy is super important to me.
Yeah, there's nothing like busting your hump and then your boss not appreciating you,
Sure.
Nothing quite like that. I haven't been in that position at all. Yeah. So, who do you think's inspired you the most in the beer industry?
Another really good question.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I don't know if I can if there's one kind of brewery that we really look up to, but we have a model that's pretty interesting. So we've always wanted to open multiple pubs and multiple tasting rooms. So we've got 3 open now and 2 more coming.
Okay.
And so, a big inspiration for us from the very beginning has been a pizza port down in San Diego.
Right, yeah.
Next time you're out here, if you didn't get a chance this time, you gotta go. It's craft beer lives down at Pizza Port. So
oh yeah, I've been there before. I went down there early, maybe 2015-ish, I believe. And my buddy went out there and he came back and he's like, "You gotta go." He's like, "You going to San Diego? You gotta go to Pizza Port." So yeah, I stopped by there when I was down there. Yeah, they're just a really cool company. Right. They've got multiple locations like we do. They obviously make way more beer than we do, but, we're on our way. We were actually really lucky and fortunate to brew a collab with them. Awesome. I think you got to try it when you were out here. Oh, yes, I think so. What was the name of it? I'm sorry.
It was called Willie. It was an all Nelson IPA.
Yes, that's right. That was the hops you were talking about, right?
Yep.
Yes. Very good.
Yeah. They're an awesome company. I'd say that's probably our biggest kind of inspiration and parallel, but,
Right.
We're in Orange County. There's so much good beer within half an hour drive of where I live. So, we have like the Green Cheeks and the Bottle Logics and all those guys, and Radiant Beer Company is another really cool one who are doing awesome stuff.
Right.
Who've just opened up.
Yeah, Green Cheek. I've actually sat down for an interview with the owners of Green Cheek, and they actually sent me some of their beer. It was very good.
Yeah, they're an amazing brewery and a cool company too.
Yeah, right. And was there a moment for you that kind of sticks out in your head that's like a defining moment of success? Like an award or anything like that? And also, how do you specifically define success for yourself?
Oh man, these are good questions.
I'm glad. Thank you.
It's too early for my brain to think about this. I mean, success to me is a moving target. Like we hit goals, and that's really exciting and gratifying. But I'm always looking to the next thing. So I don't know if I'll ever be fully satisfied.
Right.
Because I don't even know what that looks like. But like we just won a big award at the San Diego International Beer Festival for our Hoppy Pale Ale, which just so happened to be the first beer that we ever brewed for Laguna.
Awesome.
So, I mean, that was really cool. It was awesome to see our brewers get the recognition I think they deserve. And it was cool to see like one of our OG original beers play so highly in such a competitive field. So that was cool. Yeah, I mean, we just expanded our brewery. We've doubled our capacity. More than that, we've almost tripled our capacity. So when we have that up and running, that'll be extremely satisfying. Keeping staff on board and keeping everybody happy and, providing for our employees, that's success to me too.
Right.
Like we just had our first holiday party in 2 years because of COVID, and it was so great to get everyone under one roof and celebrating and partying. Yeah, it felt like a nice big family. So, yeah, I don't know what success really means for us, but we want to keep growing. We want to keep opening new spots, and maybe one day we'll get there.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed. I hope that happens for you, man. And it seems like with holiday parties happening now and everybody getting together, that everybody seems to go just a little bit harder, because they haven't done it in so long.
I think there's a little pent up energy for sure.
Yeah, right. And I know you had talked about balancing and everything, and how you bring some of this home with you. How important is a mental break from everything? And what does that look like for you?
It's essential. No matter how dedicated you are to anything, you can't be 100% all the time. It'll just wear you out. Right. So, I mean, the second I get home and hang out with my little girl, that's like a total break. I mean, it's exhausting in its own way, but it's nourishing for the soul. I mountain bike a lot. We have tons of great trails around here. Right. I don't get to go nearly as much as I'd like, but when I do, it's a great little break. But also, I might be dramatizing it a little bit. Like, at the end of the day, we work in craft beer. So we get to have a pint at the end of the day. Our friends from other breweries are stopping by all the time. We get to socialize with them. We're brewing collabs with them. So it is so much fun. Like, there's no industry better than this one. So yes, there's stress, but there's also so much fun too.
Right. Yeah, that's what I hear. It's like a brotherhood.
It is.
I mean, you've been in the industry for a while now. What do you think's been the biggest change in the last 5 years for you?
The amount of good beer that's in the marketplace now. Like when I was first kind of cutting my teeth, there weren't that many breweries that were making like world-class beer. Now, it's pretty much every city you go to, there's somebody making extremely good beer.
Right.
So it's really raised the level, I think, of quality and competition. There's beer everywhere. You go to a local bottle shop, 10,000 hazy IPAs to choose from.
Right,
so
for sure.
it's really cool. For a consumer, I think it's awesome.
Right, yeah.
For a brewery, it's, I think, kind of dialing in your brand and figuring out the lane that you kind of thrive in and hitting that at 200%.
And this is my favorite question. What was your gateway beer into the craft beer world?
Oh, man. Those OG Ballast Point days.
Right. Ballast
When we
Point.
were drinking Sculpin straight from the tap at Homebrew Mart down in San Diego.
Right.
It, like, blew my mind. I've never, like, tasted that much flavor in beer. You know, I don't drink a ton of Sculpin nowadays, but there was something magical about that stuff way back in the day.
Yeah. I spoke to from Clayton from Epic, and he used to work for them, and he's like, I got to brew so much of that stuff. And I was like, yeah. That was some good stuff, man. I mean, it still is good. And what's next for your brewery? I know you say you have 2 on the way. What does the future look like for Laguna Beach Beer Company?
Our goal is to brew 6,000 barrels next year. We're at just over 2,000 this year.
Okay.
We're going to have 2 new spots opened up, one down in San Diego, one out here in Orange County in a place called Coto de Caza. So we've been opening up a new spot. Those will be our 5th locations. So we want to finish those before we open anything else. We've been kind of in just this like rapid growth phase for the past couple of years.
Right. I
think we're ready to kind of slow down just a little bit.
Okay.
Or at least finish some projects before we take on some new ones. There's a canning line in our future. We are looking into that right now and getting that built.
That's smart.
We have more tanks on the way. And then the next kind of big project will be a production facility.
Very cool. Very cool. Interesting things to come.
For sure.
And if somebody came to you and asked you for advice on opening their own brewery, which I'm sure they do, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to go for it. It's such a rewarding and fun job. I think the guys who do it best are the guys who really know the ins and outs of what they're getting into. So that would be, work in the back, brew beer, work behind the bar for a little bit, truly understand it. Because I think there's a real value in having that hands-on knowledge. A lot of people have kind of a romantic notion of what the beer making industry is. And there are times that it's romantic and fun, but there's a lot of times it's extremely sweaty and greasy and chemically. And,
I'm sure.
The brewing side is pure manual labor in a pretty dangerous environment. So it's not like those Sam Adams commercials where they're in those beautiful brew houses.
Yeah, holding glasses up to the light, looking at the beer. Yeah, right.
I think that's important with any industry. I quickly learned that with law, that what I thought law was completely different than what the actual practice of law was. Just like what I thought the beer industry was pretty different than what it actually is. So I think knowing all that beforehand, or as much as you can know, well, at least to set your expectations up for, what this industry entails.
For sure, man. And did you happen to have a funny story for us?
Yeah. The one that stuck out to me this was 2 summers ago, which is an extremely, extremely busy time in Laguna Beach. Tons of tourists. They're small, windy streets, and most of the streets are on hills. Okay. And so for whatever reason, I needed to be out delivering beer that day, or either a driver called out, and I was driving. This is a beat-to-crap Ford Econoline that we had back then. Okay. It had about 25 half barrels in the back, so way over the limit of what it could carry. And I needed to do a 3-point turn on an extremely steep street, so I pulled up into this guy's driveway, and all of a sudden, I just stopped moving. The wheels are spinning. I look out. The tow hitch has now embedded itself on the street, and the wheels are now up in the air because the hill was so steep. Oh, my God. And I'm in front of some guy's $10 million mansion with my wheels in the air spinning. So I had to unload this thing at breakneck speed to try to get all the weight out. Right. So there's now 25 half barrels on this guy's driveway. My van is still basically dry docked up on the sidewalk here. We finally got it down. Then I had to reload all these kegs before anyone came out and saw us.
Oh, my God.
And I've never been more sore that afternoon.
I'm sure.
It took me like an hour to load that truck. I did it in about 30 seconds.
Holy crap.
And it's just one of those things where you're like, what has happened? It's really hard work. And I just got my van stuck on some guy's driveway.
Right. How come they don't show this on Sam Adams commercials?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I've dropped my phone in the dump bucket at festivals multiple times. I've locked the keys in the van multiple times. Stuff like that happens all the time.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
Crazy.
Just a day in the life.
Yeah.
And I have a little segment called Quickfire 5. 5 quick questions, beer related.
Yeah.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Someone comes into your brewery. What's one of the beers you'd recommend they try?
1,000 Steps, our West Coast IPA. We have just insanely bomb Citron Mosaic that we have. It's the beer we make the most of. It is so dialed in. It's delicious.
Yes, I agree. I did try that. Favorite brewery other than your own?
That's hard. I would have to say probably Green Cheek or Highland Park. So those guys just kill it in every single style they brew.
Gotcha. Favorite style of beer?
Ooh, probably a nice hoppy lager.
Hoppy lager. Barrel aged, imperial, or both?
Both. Why not both?
Both. I agree. And you have one keg of beer to hold you over for a 2-week quarantine. What beer are you choosing?
Oh man, that is tough.
Yep.
I've been talking about Laguna long enough, so I'll skip one of our beers, but I'm going to have to go with Docent, their Double Nickels Pale Ale. It is just an exquisitely delicious pale ale.
Awesome. Christian, that's all I got for you, man.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being on.
Hey, thanks again, Mike. Yeah, next time you're out here, make sure to stop by again.
For sure. I'm Mike Hurton for the Brew World Order podcast, here with Christian Emsik of Laguna Beach Beer Company in Laguna Beach, California. Thank you.
See you later.
Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to my interview with Christian Emsik of Laguna Beach Beer Company in Laguna Beach, California. Whether you're passing through, you live in the area, or just visiting a friend nearby, definitely check them out. Also, give them a follow on the social media because they're always posting beers, and I know you like those beers. Also, give us a follow on social media too because, hey, we need the support here. What are you doing? Every other Sunday, I'll be releasing a new episode. So subscribe, and you'll never miss one. I'm Mike Curtin for the Brew World Order podcast. You stay safe out there.